Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. A decade or so ago, I noticed something about Barbados and Barbadians, and I started talking about it. And part of my talk was reparations. I kept saying someone needs to pay for what they've done to the people of Barbados, maybe even the whole region. Somebody needs to pay. And talking about it for the last decade and looking at the subculture, there's something very wrong in a place that was created for slavery. There's something very wrong about a place where the people were created by masters. Barbadians were created by the white man. So when I hear people talk now about reparations, because back then when I spoke about it, people said, oh, every time I hear you talk about slavery, I just can't listen. I just cannot think about it. Barbadians, the central part of slavery, Barbadians didn't want to talk about it. Barbadians didn't want to acknowledge it. They were like, that Bible really worked. They were like, let bygones be bygones, let the past be the past. And that is something that was a very good move on the white masters, giving them the Bible and pointing out that they must forgive and forget and just move on. But the truth of the matter is, Barbadians were created by the white man by housing them the way they did to replenish stock. And it was a central place where people came to buy slaves. Barbados, it was instrumental in the whole slave trade, buying and selling and people knowing where to go to get slaves. It was central for that purpose. And then when there was emancipation, which is like you retire something when it has done everything it was supposed to do, build all the state buildings, do whatever the masters wanted to have done, you retire it and something else is ushered in. So emancipation was a retiring of the slaves because a new master, a new system was coming in, still enslaved, but it was an updated model of it. So when you see that Barbadians, upon being retired, unretired themselves and went back to ask back for the work from the masters, they created a system that they call tourism, and the masters are still being waited on, hand and foot. It's a service industry. So Barbadians, a set of people who were created by the white man, has held to that training, has held to that creating and that creation and whatever else came along with what happened there. They have held to it. It is not as though they fought their way out of enslavement. So when you hear about reparations, and the last place you would think they would go to have a meeting, any kind of hearing, any kind of talk, any type of conference, the last place would be the UK. But look at it here. That's where they are planning on going, to the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom of all places. They are neutral states. They are neutral countries. Switzerland would have been maybe the best place to have held a conference on reparations. And then when you talk about reparations, you have to probably take away some of the money that would have been due and owed. You probably have to take some of it away. Some of it is like pulled back off the table because Africa was involved. Are you going to get reparations out of Africa? So, it's not as though the white man did not do business with African leaders. They did. Not to say that some were not stolen and, everything else that happened back then that we will never know. you will never really know the true dynamics of what happened then, but we do know that there was enslavement, and we do know that the UK was really liking it. They liked it a lot. All their what they needed to have done was done. And then when the retiring of the slaves came, and they call it Emancipation Day. That's a word you should never use. That's why I always look at Barbadians with a side eye. Emancipation is a word you should never use, because all that means is you were retired from whatever business the masters wanted to have done. They retired you, and you went back to them. Most of you probably right now work for the man, you work for the master. You could call yourself a republic, you could call yourself anything you want to call yourself, but you were retired, and you were created for that purpose. You were created to stand down. You were created to be in the service industry. You were created to walk up. You were created to do what you do now. You were created to do what you do now. There's a subculture there. There's a subculture in every place that slavery touched. Any place the masters came in and took over, there is a subculture that remained, because what happened there is something that cannot be understood. I don't think any psychiatrist can really put a name to it. What they did was devastate the human psyche, the human soul, if there's such a thing as a soul, the human spirit. Then it was devastated. It was devastated. So other than Haiti, and you can see how they've been treated, because they really fought for their freedom, and they made sure that their constitution recognized that and exempted certain people from coming and buying land and doing what they want to do. They were really sidelined, and even by the other islands. I think the other islands ignored Haiti, and they're a pretty fierce set of people. So how is reparations going to factor into bringing Haiti back into its glory? How will reparations help Haitians? Because it seems as though that when some people get money, it goes right back to the people they got it from. So sometimes I think that reparations should be a must, because it will work out best for the leader, the people who own the money, who print the money. It will work out best for them, because they're going to get it back. They will get it back. And yet reparations to help people is still a negative, because it's not going to help them. And once it is paid, you can't go back and get it again. Let me say what I just said again. Reparations, if it's ever paid, it's going to be paid in a way that it only helps the people who pay you that reparations. It's going to help them. It's not going to help you, because they know that you're going to go there and buy vehicles, and they can, before that money is paid to you, they can work out a deal, or they can put laws in place that every vehicle you pay, the taxes and the whatever else that they add on in the fine print, all that happens behind the scenes, and you don't even know, but they're giving you the money. They know you're going to buy vehicles. They know that you're going to have 10 cars. If you have enough money, you're going to buy 10 cars. You're going to want a big house, and the lumber and the vehicles and all the taxes that go along with that. Plus, you're going to spend more money on more women. But then again, the women are going to have money too. So it may be a different dynamic. But whenever money is repaid, the people who are giving you the money is going to make sure that it is funneled back into their coffers. They're going to get it back. So once that money is gotten back, give it 10 years, they'll get it back. What happens then? You go back into living in poverty? You just go back to the way it was? Is that what happens? Is that what happens? And then again, a lot of slaves went and accepted titles from their masters, sir, dame, lady, and whatever else. You know the titles. Queen's Counsel, King's Counsel. You like it, so there's going to be another deduction from whatever monies are going to be paid in reparations because you like it. You sat comfortably in it. There are a lot of, I think that reparations should be paid. Let me get that out there. I think that reparations should be paid. That is like not it is not going to be paid because they want to pay you any kind of money. Reparations must be paid so that the world can move forward. The world, it must be paid so the world can move forward, so that you can say, okay, no one profited from fraud, no one profited from slavery, no one profited from this or that. It has to be paid so that the world at large can move forward. Okay, that's how they look at it. You pan out and you look at everything as a whole, and the world needs to move forward. That's the only reason reparations will be paid. They don't care about you. They don't really care about you and what you think, and coming back and that. They don't care about that because you did sit comfortably in it. Okay, and you did accept emancipation and poverty because it goes hand in hand. You did accept it. Poverty, emancipation. You did accept it, but it will be paid. Reparations will be paid so that whoever is rich can have a little sense of, respectability, and they can have the sense that, okay, we paid, this is a claim that was made, and, it was something that was immoral. At the root of morality, it was immoral. So our conscience now is clear, and they can't say, oh, the people who are benefiting from it still, because the people who did it, they're dead and gone, but there's still people who are benefiting from it. They can clear their consciences and they can say, okay, we did pay reparations, but there's going to be some kind of loophole, like I said, where the money will be funneled back to them, but it will be paid. It should be paid, but after it happens, Black people may find themselves worse off after maybe 2 decades, after 10, 20, maybe 20 years. They will find themselves in a far worse position than before it was paid, because the people who are paying the money are smart and they're going to want it back, and they're going to do whatever things they need to do to make sure that you don't enjoy it for long. You will not be able to enjoy it for long. But getting back to going to an international reparations conference in the United Kingdom, that's a bad start. That's a bad start. If there is a conference to be had, it should be held in a neutral type country. There are some neutral countries out there, okay? And, Switzerland comes to mind, Finland, Ireland. There are some countries out there that are neutral, and you should hold it in places where slavery was not wholesale. The slaves didn't build up all their state buildings and all the buildings, all those magnificent buildings that you see in some certain countries. They weren't built by slaves. You need to keep away from those places if you're talking about reparations and you're serious about it. But remember, when reparations are paid, so that the world, the conscience of the world can move forward. When that happens, the people that the money is paid to may be worse off after it is spent and after it is received back into the deep pockets of the people who paid it. You may be worse off because you wouldn't have any reason to go back to them again and say, hey, we need reparation. That would have been a window that's closed, a door that's closed. That's an avenue that has been closed. So be careful about not getting the reparations, but be careful that when you get it, you're not ready. Let me say that again. Make sure that you are ready. Make sure that you are prepared. Make sure that you are educated. Make sure that you are educating children and people about money matters. Money matters. Investment matters. And looking after themselves and not buying 10 vehicles. You can only drive one. Not building a huge house. You can only live out of one room at a time. You only need a kitchen. You know, there are only certain things you need. You're not teaching them how to just be, to squeeze themselves. I'm not saying that, but you need to teach your people now about money matters, so that when reparations are paid, that whoever is paying it you may surprise some of them that the money did not go back into their deep pockets, and maybe you can find ways to hold on to that money when it's paid. And it needs to be paid for the world. It needs to be paid for the conscience of the world, for the world to move forward. This is Shay Veronica.